I've been really thinking about the philosophy of our gendered language. So there's one side of the argument that says that we should keep it all gender neutral, like waiter, waitress, actor, actress. We should all just call it all actors, waiters, just like we do with writers and teachers, right? And doctors. Just call it all gender neutral because if you call, waitress and actress, if you start using those terms, you're going to create a gender binary there. It's going to make it harder for people who are LGBTQ to also get like their representation as well, and it's going to also perpetuate some of the gender roles and gender expectations in those fields as well of women as well. It's going to just add more to the patriarchal system. That's that one side of the argument. That's that camp. The other side of the argument is that by having those specific signifiers of actress, waitress, and maybe even adding doctoress and teacheress, well, which we already associate teacher with female, but at any rate, by adding that, we are making female representation in those jobs more apparent, where we are helping to spread more awareness. Because I get it, the women's suffrage movement, the women's rights movement, they had that same thought of all men are created equal, and it was thought that that was used in a gender neutral way until those dirty men were like, no, it just means us men. It doesn't apply to you women. So I do get why, some women stick to call me an actress, call me a waitress, not waiter, is because they want to make sure that their rights and who they are being heard and are also being represented. The other side of the argument, says that, that it it just makes a gender binary and it still upholds those roles. And that the issue is that we should not do what the men did and create the gender binary, because the men were the ones who created the gender binary in the first place with all men are created equal, right? That's in our Constitution. We still haven't changed that at all, but it's still in there. But now we associate that with more gender neutral. But women, back then it was men was more of a gender neutral. That's what it was thought of. But those dirty old men, right? They were like, no, we're going to create the binary here that man, human, that means men, and then women are over here. So all men are created equal. That just only applies to men. But of course, they thought it was neutral. So I think that the solution here, I'm trying to be as non-biased as I can. I really don't know for sure. I'm not the expert at this. I'm just giving my thoughts. My perspective might change, but I'm personally on the camp of make it gender neutral, because really we have to realize that gender is a social construct, and that if we hold on to the actress, the goddess, the waitress, we might as well apply it across the board, right? And then that's just going to make things a whole lot more complicated. And then we won't see doctor as female anymore. We'll see that as male, because we have to refer to the general job title as something, right? Like writer or author. Even, when you think about how like you refer to all the actors in the world, right? Actors, you see that? You see that? It already assumes the patriarchy if you are creating that gender binary in the beginning. If we just keep it gender neutral, then all the actors in the world, all the actors and actresses, we don't need to say all the actors and actresses. We just say all the actors in the world, keep it gender neutral, and then just keep it at that. Because if we create the gender binary, then we're just going to say all the actors in the world, and then we're going to think of men. But no. Think of an actor or a doctor as being more than a man. Because, we're just going to contribute to the patriarchal system, I think, if we just create that binary. We have to challenge the social gender roles and expectations. And I think that the way of doing that is by taking back what what we thought our rights were. When it was written all men were created equal, that was gender neutral, but then the men were the ones who broke it off and created it binary. Do you see that? And I see that you want to keep holding on to that binary because the men were the ones who broke it off. But I want to challenge you that let's take back our personhood. We are just people. Let's just take back our personhood. We are waiters, we are actors, we are teachers, we are therapists, we are whatever. We don't need to put any gender label at the end of it unless it makes you feel like your rights are being honored, but again, there's consequences with that. So I really don't know the answers to this. This is something complicated. Language is the roots of our culture. It is the root of our culture. And it's a lot easier to challenge our expectations than it is to change a language. Because if you're going to change that gender binary, like that gendered language of waiter, waitress, you might as well apply that across the board with doctoress, teacheress, and all that, waitress. And then you have to apply language for all the other genders, gender non-binaries, fluids, and that's just going to be a mess. You see that? Keeping it gender neutral, I think keeping it gender neutral is going to save us a lot because we need to start thinking of gender as something that is non-binary. We have to start thinking of that, and I think by having our language gender neutral, we're going to be more inclusive than exclusive. Hope that's helpful and hope it gives you something to think about.